Do you know that there was a murder case in a country like America that sparked anger and fear not only there but also in India? Today's story is about a man who has been on the run for 8 years, with agencies like the FBI and Interpol hot on his trail. Every year, the FBI releases a list of most wanted criminals, and his name is always included. There is a substantial reward for any information leading to his capture. Hello, friends. How are you all doing? Today I'm talking about Palak Patel. This story begins in the state of Maryland, USA. In this state of Maryland, there is a place called Hanover. The year was 2015, and it was around 9:45 p.m. Customers were coming into the Dunkin Donuts store, a place open 24/7 where people could buy donuts at any time. On April 12, 2015, at 9:45 p.m., a customer came into this Dunkin Donuts. As he approached the counter, there was no staff member present, which was unusual, as someone should always be there. After waiting for 15 minutes and seeing no one, the customer saw a police officer outside walking by. The customer told the officer that there was no one in the store for the last 15 minutes, and that this had never happened before. The police officer entered the store with the customer, who waited at the counter while the officer went inside to check. Upon reaching the storeroom, the officer was stunned by what he saw: a body lying in a pool of blood, with signs of assault and stab wounds. An ambulance was called, and the body was sent to the hospital. Police contacted the owner of the store, who was called to the scene for questioning. The owner said that 2 people were on duty that night: Bhadreshkumar Chetanbhai Patel and his wife, Palak Patel. Surveillance cameras were installed in the store, and when the footage was reviewed, it showed a man and a woman heading towards the storeroom around 9:30 p.m. After a minute or so, only the man exited the storeroom, leaving the building soon after. The owner confirmed that these 2 individuals were Bhadreshkumar and Palak Patel. Now, who are Bhadreshkumar and Palak Patel? What is their background? Let's explore this case based on the police investigation. Bhadreshkumar Chetanbhai Patel was born in 1990 in a place called Viramgam in Gujarat, India. He completed his education in Gujarat and worked at a passport office. At the age of 24, he was considered of marriageable age, and his family started searching for a bride. On the other hand, Palak Patel, born in 1993, was also from Gujarat. She had completed her BCom and was pursuing her MCom. She worked as a teacher and loved her job. After a few months of searching, Bhadreshkumar's profile was found suitable by Palak's family. The 2 families met in August 2013, and the couple liked each other. Their wedding took place with great celebration in November 2013. After marriage, Bhadresh expressed his desire to work abroad, as many of his relatives were settled overseas. After about 8-10 months of marriage, he suggested to Palak that they should go on a honeymoon abroad. Palak was thrilled by the idea, and soon Bhadresh arranged their passports and a 6-month tourist visa. In September 2014, the couple traveled to the United States. Upon reaching the US, they first visited Bhadresh's mother, who lived in New Jersey with a relative. Afterward, they visited other relatives. Everything seemed fine, and Palak thought they would return to India after a short trip. However, Bhadresh had other plans. He decided to stay with a relative in Maryland, who owned a Dunkin Donuts store. He even convinced Palak to work with him at the store. But she continued to believe that her husband had somehow managed to convince her to take a part-time job by offering her sister as a reference. Since the store was open 24/7, there was a need for staff during the shifts. So, Palak and Bhadresh started working the night shift. There was also an apartment nearby where a cousin lived. This was the same area where the store was located. Both husband and wife began staying in this apartment with their cousin. They worked all night at the store and slept during the day. Their way of living changed due to exhaustion and sleep deprivation. Palak had to skip 1 meal a day. Now, this had become their life. Bhadresh was happily working at the store, but Palak was not as content. Their visas were about to expire, and they would soon return to India. Palak often talked to her husband about going back because she no longer felt at home, and their visas were running out. However, Bhadresh was forcing Palak to work under the guise of a part-time job. He didn't listen to her at all, and this led to arguments. One wanted to return to India, while the other wanted to stay and continue working in the US, as Bhadresh considered it their home. One day, their fight escalated to the point where the neighbors had to call security. Time passed, and their visa was nearing expiration. Bhadresh was still happily working at the store, but he was also keeping Palak's salary and forcing her to work. Palak's mother revealed in an interview that Bhadresh's family was also pressuring her to stay. Sometimes, he would even hit her. Although Palak used to talk to her family over the phone, things seemed normal until one day when she couldn't bear it any longer. She told them the whole truth. She expressed her desire to return to India and live with her family, as she no longer wanted to stay there. But Bhadresh refused to go back. He was happy working there, while Palak longed to return to her teaching job in India. Palak told her family about the increasing fights with Bhadresh. Hearing about their daughter's situation, her parents were deeply upset. On March 27, 2015, they traveled to Hanover, Maryland, to meet her. Upon arriving, they were shocked. Both Palak and Bhadresh were working night shifts at the donut shop and sleeping all day. There was no fixed schedule for meals, and sometimes Palak would miss meals altogether. When she did eat, it was often unhealthy food, which was damaging to her health. Her parents tried to reason with Bhadresh, but he refused to listen. The parents had come to America to bring their daughter back, but Palak insisted she would first convince her husband and then return to India with him. Whether it was confidence or fear, Palak refused to leave with her parents. They had to return to India without her on April 7th. Palak resumed her usual routine. 2 more days passed. On April 12, 2015, the day began like any other. That night, Palak and Bhadresh had their usual night shift. Around 9 p.m., they left their apartment and went to the Dunkin Donuts store where they worked. They put on their uniforms in the staff room. At around 9:15 p.m., Palak's mother called her to check in. It was already April 13th in India, around 6:45 am. They talked for a few minutes before Palak brought up the topic of returning to India again. By then, it was around 9:30 p.m. Her brother took the phone from their mother and reassured Palak, telling her that he had booked a ticket for her on April 17th, just 5 days away, and that she could come home then. Palak was surprised. At that moment, Bhadresh was present, and he asked her what was going on. Palak told him about the ticket. Hearing this, Bhadresh angrily snatched the phone from her and yelled at her brother, insisting that he would pay for her ticket and take her to the airport himself. As seen in the CCTV footage, Bhadresh took Palak's phone and went into the kitchen while still on the call. Worried, Palak followed him. In the kitchen, in a fit of rage, Bhadresh attacked Palak. He grabbed a knife and stabbed her. Within a minute or two, everything was over. Afterward, Bhadresh left the room, turned off the microwave oven, and walked out of the store. He returned to the apartment where he and Palak had been staying with their cousin. He took his passport and some belongings, and then left in a taxi. Around 9:45 p.m., a customer entered the Dunkin Donuts store. What happened next was mentioned at the beginning of the story. The police arrived, and Palak was taken to the hospital by ambulance. But by then, she had already passed away.